Before 9/11 changed us all forever, there was another attack on our country, this one perpetrated by Americans. It has been 25 years since a bomb went off outside the Murrah Federal Building.
Eric Rudolph, the bomb-making terrorist who killed two and hid in the mountains, is giving away his life
Let's
story.
bring in private investigator Jason Jensen. He's joining us live tonight. Jason.
Prisons across the United States house some of the most feared and dangerous criminals in history. Men whose violent acts, terrifying influence, and cunning abilities have left a lasting impact on society. From serial killers to domestic terrorists, these individuals represent the darkest side of humanity. In this video, we'll step into the lives of 10 notorious figures whose reputations continue to strike fear in law enforcement and prisoners alike. Let's uncover what makes these men so dangerous and feared, both inside and outside the prison walls. Nico Jenkins. Nico Jenkins is a convicted spree killer from Nebraska who brutally murdered 4 people in 2013, shortly after being released from prison. Known for his erratic behavior and violent tendencies, Jenkins claimed to have carried out the killings as sacrifices to the ancient Egyptian serpent god, Apophis. His disturbing lack of remorse and erratic courtroom outbursts have made him one of the most feared and notorious inmates in the U.S. Jenkins was sentenced to death in 2017 and remains on death row, consistently making headlines for his bizarre behavior and unrelenting violence. Robert Hansen. Robert Hansen, also known as the Butcher Baker, was a serial killer who terrorized Anchorage, Alaska in the 1970s and 1980s. Hansen abducted and hunted women in the wilderness, using his knowledge of the Alaskan landscape to evade authorities for years. By the time he was caught, Hansen had killed at least 17 women, though the true number may be higher. His cold, calculated nature and horrifying crimes earned him a life sentence, making him one of the most feared men in prison. He died in 2014, but his legacy of terror endures. Terry Nichols. Terry Nichols was a key figure in the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing, which remains the deadliest act of domestic terrorism in U.S. history. Alongside Timothy McVeigh, Nichols helped plan and execute the bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, killing 168 people. His role in the attack, which targeted innocent civilians, led to a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Nichols's actions not only shook the nation, but also established him as one of the most reviled and feared inmates in the U.S. prison system due to the magnitude of his crime. Ted Kaczynski. Ted Kaczynski, better known as the Unabomber, orchestrated a nationwide mail bombing campaign that spanned nearly 2 decades, from 1978 to 1995. His attacks, aimed at individuals and institutions he believed were advancing industrialization and harming the environment, resulted in 3 deaths and 23 injuries. Kaczynski's ability to evade capture for so long and his highly intelligent yet disturbed mind have made him a fearsome figure in prison. Serving multiple life sentences, Kaczynski remains infamous for his manifesto and his calculated acts of domestic terror. Eric Rudolph. Eric Rudolph is best known as the Olympic Park bomber, responsible for the 1996 bombing during the Atlanta Olympics, which killed 2 people and injured over 100 others. His other attacks targeted abortion clinics and LGBTQ+ venues. Rudolph evaded capture for 5 years, hiding in the Appalachian Mountains before being apprehended in 2003. His extreme beliefs, combined with his ability to carry out devastating attacks and survive as a fugitive, make him one of the most feared domestic terrorists incarcerated today, serving multiple life sentences without parole. Ramzi Youssef. Ramzi Youssef, the mastermind behind the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, remains one of the most notorious terrorists in U.S. prisons. His plot, which aimed to bring down the Twin Towers, resulted in 6 deaths and over 1,000 injuries. Yusef's intelligence, coupled with his cold-blooded desire to inflict mass casualties, has cemented his place as one of the most dangerous men in U.S. custody. He is currently serving a life sentence in the Supermax prison in Florence, Colorado, where he continues to be a figure of extreme fear and hatred. Michael Swango. Michael Swango, a former physician, is one of the most prolific serial killers in modern history, responsible for the deaths of at least 60 patients. Swango used his position in hospitals across the U.S. to poison and kill patients, often using lethal injections. His crimes went undetected for years due to his medical knowledge and charm. Once discovered, his true nature as a sadistic murderer shocked the medical community and the world. Swango is currently serving a life sentence, and his actions have made him one of the most feared men behind bars. Larry Hoover. Larry Hoover is the founder of the infamous Gangster Disciples, a powerful gang with roots in Chicago. Despite being imprisoned since 1973 for murder, Hoover maintained significant control over the gang's operations from behind bars. His criminal empire expanded through drug trafficking, extortion, and other illicit activities. Hoover's leadership abilities and influence stretched far beyond the prison walls, earning him the title King of the Streets. Even after decades of incarceration, his name instills fear and respect, symbolizing the far-reaching power of organized crime within U.S. prisons. Richard Lee McNair. Richard Lee McNair is infamous for his clever prison escapes, the most remarkable being his 2006 escape from a federal prison in Louisiana. McNair used a mixture of cunning and patience, hiding inside a pallet of mailbags and managing to evade guards during a routine inspection. His charm and quick thinking also helped him deceive a police officer during a traffic stop by pretending to be a jogger. McNair was a master manipulator of the prison system, with multiple escape attempts under his belt. His ability to stay on the run for over a year after his last escape solidified his reputation as one of the most elusive and feared criminals. He was eventually recaptured and placed in a Supermax prison, but his story continues to fascinate law enforcement officials and true crime enthusiasts alike. Thomas Silverstein. Thomas Silverstein became infamous for his violent behavior within the U.S. prison system, gaining notoriety as a leader of the Aryan Brotherhood, a white supremacist prison gang. His path to fear began with multiple murder convictions, including the 1983 killing of corrections officer Merle Klutz, which led to him being placed in permanent solitary confinement. Considered one of the most dangerous inmates, Silverstein spent more than 36 years in isolation, the longest in U.S. prison history. His reputation for violence and influence within the Aryan Brotherhood made him a symbol of prison brutality and gang dominance until his death in 2019. Despite being isolated, Silverstein's name remained synonymous with extreme violence and control within prison walls. The men we've explored today are responsible for some of the most heinous crimes in U.S. history, and their actions have forever changed the landscape of the American justice system. Whether through their violent crimes, manipulation, or sheer cunning, they've left a mark that won't be forgotten. If you found this video insightful, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Let us know in the comments if you'd like to learn about more infamous criminals or any other topics that intrigue you. Thanks for watching.